The following production is brought to you by the Talkin' Buds Leaf Show.
Here we go. This is the Talkin' Buds Leaf Show. I'm Rob. He's Ryan. We are rested. We are relaxed, rejuvenated. We're back in the saddle. Post All Star break. Little break for us as well. Took the week off. You went on vacation.
Yep.
I stayed home and watched the All Star festivities. I don't think we need to get too deep into it because it's kind of gone now, but I thought the NHL All Star weekend, in my opinion, has been a bit of a snoozer for a long time. And I thought this past weekend in Toronto, all the celebrity involvement, Michael Bublé on mushrooms, Bieber, Tate McRae, everyone, I thought it went off really well. I thought the redesigned skills night which I didn't know going into it that Connor McDavid played a hand in sort of redesigning that night. I thought that was really good. And then the game, the little tournament on the Saturday was also super entertaining. And overall, you know what? I tip my cap. I'm the first one to come on here all the time and criticize the National Hockey League for being not a great product. That's the nicest I've put it in a while. But I'll tip my cap to them. We have a long-standing rule on the Talkin' Buds Leaf Show that if you chirp someone or something and then later you're proven wrong, you've got to sit here and you've got to eat your bowl of crow. So I will tip my cap to the National Hockey League. Very well done.
I got nothing else to say.
Yeah, because you weren't here. You were away. You were away in warmer climates.
No.
Well, we're back. We have a Leafs game to talk about. We're ready to resume crying. We're just crying.
I actually had a really good thought coming into today's episode. That we just rerun the last 3 episodes.
Yes.
Because I don't think there's anything going to be any different coming out of my mouth this week compared to weeks past. If anything, I'm more fed up than I was before the All-Star break. And they actually ended up going into the All-Star break doing pretty well.
And then the vibes around the All-Star break with the 4 guys playing, their team Matthews ended up winning. I thought Austin Matthews was excellent in terms of being a leader. I think there should be a discussion in the offseason about potentially making him the captain of this hockey team. And yeah, it was all good vibes. And then this kind of if you could condense their season into one game, it would be Monday night's game against the New York Islanders. They had moments where I thought they played pretty well. They made stupid decisions and were inconsistent, and they got okay subpar goaltending from Samsonov, and that was it. Dumb, stupid, brain-dead mistakes lead them to lose, and now they're 0-3 against the New York Islanders this season.
0-3 against the New York Islanders. A team that has some nice players, but for the most part
are mediocre.
Are pretty mediocre hockey team, and they just watching this being if they played this team in a 7-game series, they would lose. That's what I'm thinking when I'm watching them playing the New York Islanders.
I want to start by talking about my best pal, because the Leafs have sort of it wasn't a full practice, but it was a skate on the Sunday after the All-Star game. And Sheldon's talking this big game about, we're in the home stretch here. We got to get dialed in. We got to start correcting things, and we got to start we're in a playoff push, basically. I'm paraphrasing, obviously, but that was essentially the gist of what he said. Then they have their performance against the New York Islanders, which I just said. It was mental mistake after mental mistake, especially the one goal in which immediately following a power play, the Islanders go the other way and score. And our guy Sheldon, after the game, steps to the podium and has this to say.
This is the National Hockey League. That's Pee-wee stuff. It's nothing to do with the season or anything like that. You play on the power play in the National Hockey League, they should not get behind you coming out of the penalty box.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but isn't the attention to detail a coaching? He's basically talking about attention to detail there. Isn't that a coaching responsibility? Isn't a lot of the things and the mental mistakes we see with this team night in and night out a coaching issue?
Yeah, I mean, I think they have so many issues that I can't even pick which one is the worst.
I'm not going to sit here and bag on Sheldon because I do think like that's, as much as I love doing it, I do think that's very tired. I do that pretty much every episode, but
yeah, we'll get there.
But it's like, Sheldon, they ain't listening, man. They're not listening to you.
No.
So
No. That's just one of several problems this team has.
Right.
And as we've alluded to several times, he's the only one who can get fired, and there's no salary cap implications or anything. So
he did what he always does, and today he kind of walked that back, and he says, quote, "We've got a good team here. We've got good players. As a coaching staff, we need to do a better job with them and work with them and help them recognize our own goal in getting the team to play to its potential. I think we've done that. I would say about 50% of the games we've been really good. That's not enough. That's not enough in the NHL." So I'm just gonna go to last night's Islander game here. I'm just gonna pull up the box score if you don't mind. Let's take a look, shall we? Oh, look, it's the usual ice time discrepancy. Look, all the big boys up over 20-ish minutes. Here's Max Domi, 10 minutes and 48 seconds. Nick Robertson, who I thought was really dangerous in the offensive zone last night, 8:38. What is the definition of insanity, Ryan?
I think you could say that to the front office. Screw the coach.
It's like
this doesn't even apply to Sheldon. The definition of insanity should go up and down the front office, the coaching staff, the owners. Like it's top to bottom in this organization. What's the definition of insanity? It's doing the same thing over and over again, and that applies to every single department for this hockey team. It's not just ice time for a third liner. It's putting out the same product every single season and expecting a different result. And like, I don't know. And you're watching the game too. And Max Domi is not playing well, and he looks allergic to shooting the puck on the net. He had an opportunity to cut to the net, and he didn't. He just went around and tried to make a pass to a New York Islander, and I was just confused watching it. But this is just a microcosm of all the problems this team has. All the problems.
I get self-conscious. I'll be honest. I get self-conscious about how negative you and I can get on this pod. And because I don't think that, like, we're jaded. That's the best way to put it. We're jaded Leaf fans. But I also don't want to be an idiot who complains about everything. Okay? Having said that, I don't understand. The theme around our last episode was, should they be buyers, should they be sellers? And that's going to be the main topic of discussion up until we get to the deadline. I have no idea how you can watch this roster and make the argument that they should be buyers. Like,
ridiculous.
What are you talking about? And
absolutely ridiculous.
Yeah, like I just don't. It's not there.
They are so far from being there.
They're
like 5 players away from being there.
We've sat here, us and everyone else have sat here since the season started. Oh, they need to fix their blue line. They need to fix their blue line. They need a third line center. They need like if Matthews, Marner, Nylander, and Tavares got off the schneid and got one. If they're not scoring, no one is scoring. No one. They are getting zero production from people in the bottom 6. And someone might hear me say that and go, who cares about the bottom 6? If you're going to win a Stanley Cup in the National Hockey League, you got to roll 4 lines. You saw the Vegas Golden Knights in person last year. You got to roll 4 lines. And right now, some of that is ice time. I just said Nick Robertson, 8 minutes and 38 seconds of ice time. I do not think a lot of that is the way this team is deployed, and I put that on the coach. But I don't know, man.
I
They've got, I don't know how you can sit here and make the argument that, well, you've got Matthews who's having a career. It's like, yes, he is, and that's great. But at the end of the day, this team is nowhere close to being a cup contender. Nowhere close. So what's the goal, Brendan? What's the goal?
Yeah, I want someone to come out and look at me and be like, we're good with just making the playoffs and getting dusted in the first round, because that's what they're doing.
Yes.
And why don't they have a bottom six? Why don't they have one?
Well, I think we got to look at this here and say, like, how much of this do you want to put on Brad Treliving, and how much of this do you want to put on Brendan Shanahan, and how much of this do you want to put on the circumstance of what happened and how he came in? Like, he kind of jumped on a moving train, and his two best additions that he made in the offseason in terms of like contribution to the lineup has been Martin Jones and Simone Benoit.
I mean, a little blood is on everybody's hands for sure. I mean, everyone he's brought in has done nothing, basically. Who are supposed to do something has done nothing. And then he decided he wanted to roll over and pay Nylander whatever he wanted. So there's another lost negotiation. So it's,
well, I
blood
think
is on his hands too.
And it's on Brendan Shanahan's.
But until they just figure out how to dismantle the core of this team, they're never going to change. I'm sorry. We could sit here and talk about ice time, Nick Robertson, this guy playing center, this guy playing that. None of it's going to change until they actually make a big move, because it's just these guys aren't good enough to carry this team to the promised land. Well, you see it right now. And how are they supposed to build their team any differently when they're just like so top heavy? Like this is their decision to be top heavy.
Yes.
So that's why sometimes it's like, yeah, other guys need to step up for sure. Like Max Domi could be having a better season. He could be playing better, of course. David Kampf could chip in with a little more offense, of course.
Tyler Bertuzzi.
And it is very strange watching Domi and Bertuzzi, two serviceable hockey players, be injected in this lineup and have just like, it's like they've lost their ability to play. They're just not effective at all. And it's kind of blowing my mind, because it's not like these guys were top players in the league, but they have reputations and stats backing up that they've played pretty good hockey throughout their entire career. They're NHL hockey players who can contribute at an NHL level. And I'm watching them. I'm going, I saw more out of Alex Kerfoot than I'm seeing out of these guys.
Well, I sat here a few minutes ago and said I wasn't going to clown on Sheldon Keefe anymore, but I do think that he is the main reason why those two guys aren't as effective.
Yeah, I think
as what they have been.
I agree. I think that is on Keefe, because it is very strange how two guys, not just one, but two, have just completely lost it.
So let's start with Max Domi. Max Domi was playing in the top 6 with the Dallas Stars, a good hockey team last year. Max Domi is the type of hockey player that needs to play with other good players. So far this year, they've asked him to carry his own line and sort of like help bring Nick Robertson along. And that's just not the kind of guy, not the kind of player he is. The few times we've seen Max play with Mitch Marner, they've looked really good and looked like they've had some chemistry together. And I think that's Max Domi. That's why in an ideal world, you'd have someone who could take that 3C role, and then you could move Domi up into the top 6 and move Nyes down, because I think Matt Nyes is going through a little rookie growing pain issue here.
I think Matt Nyes is playing very good hockey, but he's also not contributing offensively. And
you're still trying to figure, like, demoting him isn't necessarily a bad thing, because he's still young and it's not a huge deal.
Yeah, to me, I don't see out of him what I see out of the other two. I actually see him playing hard. It's just the offense hasn't clicked for him yet, and he has the rookie card to play, so you can lay off him. But I don't know. You look at these. I pull up their hockey DB, both these guys, and I mean they're barely 50-point hockey players for their careers. So it's like, what are we really expecting? But
more than this,
we've seen guys like Michael Bunting come in who had no reputation. Or even Zach Hyman, who has elevated himself into one of the top goal scorers in the NHL.
Not to interrupt you, but so we're going to talk towards the end of this episode about this international tournament they're having in the summer of 25. I've seen a few Team Canada lineup projections. There's Zach Hyman on the first line of Team Canada.
So you think of Bunting and Hyman off the top of your head, two guys who weren't pegged to be offensive players in the NHL, who were just pegged to be grinders. They play on the top line with Matthews, and they both have great offensive success playing with that line. And both them leave because we didn't want to overpay them. But it turns out those were two. I'd say one is a massive mistake. The other one, it still remains to be seen. But and you look at it. So when Domi and Bertuzzi come in here, that's what you're thinking. You're like, okay, these guys, like Bertuzzi's had a 62-point season. Domi's had a 72-point season. But other than that, they're kind of floundering around 40, 50 points. So we inject them into the top 6, which is probably what their agents were thinking too, signing here. Yep. Maybe Max had a little hometown thing going on. But Bertuzzi, I'm going to get injected into the top. My point production's going to go up. And it's just not. And it's just perplexing. It's just these guys, they've lost it completely. And I don't know what you can only change the line so many times. Like to me, they're just like juggle up the lines, move Nyes down, put Bertuzzi back up, put Domi here, put Domi there. They don't have a third until they get a third line center. They can't do anything with their lineup. Who's going to play third line center? That's true. Nobody. And they only put Domi there because Domi was on the wing earlier, and both of us sat here with the idea of putting him at center. And they have put him at center, and he's done nothing.
Because he's the type of player that needs to play with other good players. He can't carry his own
I think
line.
Max needs to find... I think Tyler Bertuzzi... I don't know what's going on with Tyler Bertuzzi. I think when I watch Max Domi, I have a little more clear idea that I think he just needs to figure out what type of hockey player he is. Because I think he still thinks he's playing for the Don Mills Flyers, scoring 100 points in AAA. Like it's like maybe you're not an offensive guy. I haven't seen a lot of offense out of you. You need to switch up your game a little bit. You need to. It's kind of like what John Tavares is going through too. It's like you need to figure out what type of hockey player you are. But I know he's not a third line center for a team that's going anywhere. So I mean, he's got to figure it out. They have to figure it out. But I don't know. To your point, I don't know if Keefe's the guy to do it.
No, I don't. And I think Tyler Bertuzzi is the type of guy who would benefit from being put in a better situation to succeed. Like, where does Tyler Bertuzzi, from what I've seen, where does he excel this year or look good? Puck battles along the boards. Like, he's the type of guy that is he's gonna score all his goals and get all his points by banging in a garbage goal in front of the net.
Which his centerman is the king of that. So
yes,
having those two together really doesn't make any sense.
Exactly, and he also gets no power play opportunities. So it's.
I mean that one's tough. The power play's tough. I don't know. That's a tough one to switch up. I know you can move the ice time around 5-on-5, and those guys don't have to be out there for 2 minutes on the power play. But I mean, to take one of those guys off the power play, that is.
You could make an argument there for Tavares for a while that he could have missed a power play or two, especially the way he was playing and the way the power play was going. But that's neither here nor there. Yeah, I blame Sheldon. How many times have you heard me say that?
I don't know. There's so much blame to go around here. It's just, you know what? I also get self-conscious coming on here and being negative, but I'm kind of done. Well, I'm just kind of like I think we just had an All-Star break. I just went on vacation. I should be kind of, and they won 2 big games against one of the best teams in the league, and I turn on this game. And I'm just sitting there and I'm like, I have to watch another 35 games of the same thing I've been watching and it's worse this year than it has been in previous years.
It's Ryan, it's far worse.
I know.
This reminds me of the year Babcock got fired and they got interrupted by COVID and then they lost to Columbus in the bubble. Yeah. That's what this is.
Like they got rid of some players that we were tired of watching. Justin Hall, Alex Kerfoot. And we bring in some guys we're excited about, and we're watching this team. It's like they're not even close. I don't even know how they're.
Well, this is what I'm coming to about when I say, like, I genuinely, like, I'm not saying this to be a smartass. Like, I'm genuinely saying, how can you make the argument that this team should be buyers and should give up assets? I'm gonna do my thing that I did like a month or so ago. People, take your rose-colored glasses off. I understand. I'm a fan of the team. We love this team, okay? But take your rose-colored glasses off and put your realistic, real-world glasses on. This team and this roster is There are a lot of missing pieces here. A lot. Like, if you look at it, let's just start from the net out. Goaltending's an issue, okay? Martin Jones played well. He kind of came back down to earth. Samsonov played out of his mind for a couple games before the All-Star break. I thought in the Islander game, he kind of came back to earth. I don't think you're winning a Stanley Cup with either one of those guys. Keith said the other day, Joe Woll is still nowhere near ready to come back. And when Joe Woll comes back, first of all, it's going to take him a while to get up to speed and get playing to the way he was playing. And the guy is super injury prone. So they don't have a Stanley Cup caliber goalie. You're dead in the water out of the gate with that, okay? You look at the defense, which we've talked about ad nauseum. TJ Brodie continues to just be, oh my God, is he like that? The game-winning goal last night was 1,000% on TJ Brodie. And then you look at the forwards, and we just went on a rant about the depth. Like, this team is a goalie. That could be Joe Woll. It could not be. 2 to 3 defensemen, a centerman, and
a couple wing. We never talked about them just shipping off Sam Lafferty for nothing.
Yes, like that's another.
There's a perfect winger to slot in that third line who
shipping off
has a little bit of size and can skate.
Yes.
And they shipped him off for Ryan
Reeves, who sucks. The guy sucks.
You know what? I think you're explaining. I think everybody watching this right now, you don't need to explain that to them. The only people perpetuating the narrative that you have Matthews, you need to do something is the media. It's not the fans. The fans know.
No, Ryan, I know
the fans who come here to listen to us, they know.
Yes,
they know.
I know Twitter's not real life, but there are some
geeks,
rose-colored glasses Kool-Aid drinkers on Twitter.
Here's my argument. If all the years where you had to prove to Matthews that you were going to do something has cost your organization depth for years to come. You traded all your picks away because you had to make a statement that we're going for it, and you never did anything. So now there goes all the picks out the door. We got nobody coming up. We got a bunch of dudes who are years away. There's all the depth that we're missing right there. So it's like, now so this is the year you got to go do it again? It hasn't worked for years previous when you were way better than you were this year.
And you also don't have, I'm sorry, I'm not giving up some of the little, everyone knows what the Leafs are in the market for. So if you think for 1 second that Brad Treliving is going to give up a first-round pick or one of their touted prospects, like a Cowan or a Minton for Chris Tanev, no,
I'm calling.
Not happening.
Here's my plan. If I'm Brendan Shanahan or Brad Treliving, which I know will never happen, I'm calling the Muskoka 4 into the front office and going, "This is what we pay you for. This is why you're the highest paid players in the league, because you're good enough to get it done. You know why our depth is ravaged? Because of you. So how about you just play better? You're supposed to be better. You're supposed to carry this team. That's what you're paid to do. So do it. Because look what's happened in the past. What's going on getting Nick Foligno going to do? Look how that turned out.
The coach literally deploys you in such a way that you are the ones who are going to carry us to the promised land.
They go out and get Ryan O'Reilly. Ryan O'Reilly's the perfect example of this. They go out and get him. He comes in here. He was okay, but he was definitely their best deadline pickup out of all of them. You know what the guy did at the end of the year?
Split.
He went, this sucks.
Yeah, I'm good.
These guys can't carry it. The coach is an idiot.
Yep.
I'm out of here.
Yep.
I won't play on the power play. Exactly what.
Yeah.
It's kind of like, he's the perfect example.
I know. And Brendan,
what you're talking about with ice time with Domi and Robertson, and that's what Ron O'Reilly saw.
That's
and
why
he was like,
left.
I'm out of here.
Yes.
No, thank you.
Yep.
Not that he went to a team that's really doing anything.
And my guy Brendan is just sitting up there, just making sure the shareholders and the board is happy.
Yeah.
Unbelievable.
I mean, the Predators are only 4 points behind the Leafs.
Yeah.
With Ryan O'Reilly as their number one center.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't just come live in the real world. That's basically what I'm saying.
Not happening. I will be so disappointed in them if they do that. Unless you can just find the best deal in the world. But you have no second round picks to trade. They're all gone. Yeah. You're not trading a first for a guy who's in his 30s who plays defense, who really is just going to come in and be another TJ Brodie. I don't.
And none of it fucking matters if you have Ilya Samsonov and Martin Jones. None of it matters. Again, what's the goal here? Like if you sit and you think, well, the goal's to win a cup, you're a crazy person just looking at the goaltending alone. So like, what's the goal? You know what? If I'm them, you and I are doing role play, Shanny and tree living today. If I'm them, I'm sitting back and going, we are going to stand pat. You know what? If some team wants to come talk to me and say, listen, Tyler Bertuzzi has a track record of being a good playoff performer, we're prepared to give you some assets for Tyler Bertuzzi. Have them. You know what? We're looking for a guy who can skate to play left wing on our playoff run. How do you guys think about flipping Max Domi? Take him. Like, that's where I'm at. I'm not going...
Which is the complete opposite of we got to show Matthews something.
Well, who cares? I don't care.
I don't care either. I would do it in a heartbeat.
I don't care.
But
This team still has an opportunity to make the playoffs. So I'm sitting back and I'm going, I'll listen to someone who wants to come in and maybe take one of our guys, and we're just going to leave this team as is, status quo. And if we get into the playoffs, great. And if we don't, then there you go. That's the realistic thing, because making the playoffs shouldn't be the goal. The goal should be to build off last year, which is at least a second round appearance to a conference championship appearance to eventually a Stanley Cup. That's the progression here.
You go to practice after the deadline, you look at all of them and go, this is what you guys did. This is the result of everything you guys wanted and what you believed in. We have no depth because we can't have it, because it's impossible to get. Look around the league. Look at Sam Ryan. How much is Sam Reinhart making right now? I don't know, but I guarantee it's like half of what anyone else is making. The guy's having just as good a year as Matthews. Like, it's ridiculous. I would just go into practice and be like, you know what? You guys are great players. You
6.5.
You put up great points. Lovely. Amazing. But we don't have any depth because of the what you guys wanted and what you thought you deserved. That's why we're not going out and getting anything. That's why we're not going to win anything. It just is what it is. They can't do anything.
Well,
where are you going to go, even in the offseason? Who are you going to go upgrade your defense with?
The pushback. So here's what I'll say. So you're calling me in. I'm one of the core four, and you're calling me in, and you're saying what you just said to me.
Yeah.
You're Shanny, and I'm looking at them, and I'm going, okay, well, you had a bunch of cap space that you could have spent in the summer, and you went and spent it on John Klingberg, who later came out. You went and gave John Klingberg some stupid contract that he later came out and said he had a lingering injury that was with him the whole time. You went and gave it to Ryan. You gave Ryan Reeves a 3-year deal. Guy cannot play.
Yeah, no, it's not a bad point, but I just look back and be like, remember when you're up 3-1 against the Montreal Canadiens in the most shoe-in Stanley Cup final season that this franchise will ever have? And you guys wet the bed? Yeah. How many times have you guys wet the bed? Like, it's ridiculous.
So many times.
Yeah, like, I'm out of... Yeah, we've made some mistakes, but... I mean, they've also brought in guys in the past who were kind of questionable pickups who ended up doing okay. Like, yeah, it is tough to be like John Klingberg, but guess what? They found a way out of it. Yeah. They found a way out of John Klingberg. They said, okay, this guy sucks. How's your hip doing? Not very good. See you later. Like, I don't know. I don't think these guys deserve anything. I think they should play better.
Yeah.
They have to carry this team. They have to.
Well, and that comes back to the Sheldon Keefe quote off the top. It's like that.
If they're going to make a move, they just have to be creative. They cannot trade a first round pick for Chris Tanev. No, it's not happening. Well, absolutely not. Get creative.
But even one of your young guys, man, like, you can't do that. Like, especially next year. Like, next year you're kind of fucked in the salary cap sense because you still have Tavares making $11 million with Nylander and Matthews new deals kicking in. So you need a guy like Fraser Minton to make your team next year. You need tough, Matt Nyes next year to take a step and become a second year.
He needs to click more offensively.
Yeah, you need that. So you can't be giving up these young, cheap guys.
No,
like this is just live in the real world. You can't do it.
Yeah, maybe you find a team that likes Nicky Robertson and you try to flip him out for a big body guy.
But he's another guy though, Ryan. Like, he shows flashes of Nick. The biggest thing going against Nick Robertson is lack of experience due to...
He has to move the puck within a millisecond or else he's on his ass.
Lack of experience due to injury and the fact that he's small. but he makes things happen in the offensive zone. And he's another guy next year that you have on the cheap that, do they have him next year on the cheap? Let's double check. No, he's an RFA. Okay, so.
He's got no leverage.
Yeah, he's got no leverage.
Nothing.
So he's another guy next year that you can make it work. And it's really dangerous this year when you know that your team, like, what did I just rattle off? Like, they're like 4, 5, 6 pieces that they need. It's really dangerous this year to move off young, cheap talent. Really dangerous.
They got nothing.
Yeah.
They got absolutely nothing. They're
Yes.
screwed.
Yes.
These guys are good enough to carry them to a playoff spot. Maybe this year not, but in previous past, these guys were all good enough to have amazing regular seasons. They're one of the best regular season teams over the past several years. But this year, it's kind of running dry, and it's like these guys can only take you so far.
There's also like the Keefe comment off the top about the Pee Wee stuff. Like this team's attention to detail and their positional play in the defensive zone is one of the worst defensive hockey teams I've ever seen in all my years watching hockey.
The whole just blowing. I'm so sick of watching this team blow leads, man, or just give up quick goals after getting one. It's like it's exhausting. It really is. It's getting challenging coming up with creative things to talk about. It's like, oh my, here we go again, the same thing over and over and over and over again. Like, can we just do something different, please? That's not putting Nyes down on the third line and putting Domi up. Like, come on. Like, I'm so done with that. You could try this lineup every which way. The only thing I'd be interested in seeing is if they spread out all 4 guys play on 4 different lines. That's the only lineup change I will accept because it will be new and fresh, and that's never happened.
No.
Which will never happen.
No, it won't.
Well, I'm sorry, flip-flopping Domi and Bertuzzi and Ponte. Like, it's not going to do it, man. It's really not.
No, it's not. Oh, my God.
God. Why didn't they just pay Zach Hyman when his contract was up?
In fairness, man, you would know. None of us thought. We sat here too, and we're like, giving Zach Hyman $5 million is outrageous. And that
idiots.
guy, everyone's
idiots.
an idiot. He's got that guy. I hope that dude kept receipts because he's got a lot of them to hand out.
Jesus,
a lot of them.
Yeah.
Speaking of him. Over the All Star break, the NHL announced, we're going to do some NHL talk. The NHL announced that next February, I think I said summer earlier. I hope I didn't because it's next February. So a year from now, the NHL will stage a 4 nations face-off tournament that will feature Canada, the United States, Finland, and Sweden. The event will take place in Montreal and Boston. So it's like a 4-team playoff. This is the first time that we will see this era of NHLers in an international tournament. I'm kind of excited about this.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be up to them to make it good. I mean, it's not the Olympics. That's one thing.
Well, they are going back to the Olympics as well, but this will be before the Olympics.
It's just going to be up to them to make this a big deal.
Yes.
Because we saw what happened at the World Cup of hockey, and they had the 2 gimmick teams, and
well, that's why I kind of that.
To me, it is a bit of a slap in the face to some other. Like, I don't want to be this guy, but it is a bit of a slap in the face to other countries. Like, you watch it at the World Juniors. Like, Czechia's beating Canada now. Like, there's like these countries are legit. It's kind of a slap in the face to leave some of these countries off the board
due to the political reasons. The Russians aren't in there as well.
Yeah, well, I mean, whatever. But
listen, I'm down to watch a Connor McDavid Team Canada take on the juggernaut that will be Team USA.
Why don't they do a 7-game series again?
Yeah,
like just do a Canada US 7-gamer. Like that'd be sweet. It's gonna be up to the players in the league to make this good. Like other than that, like I'm not excited thinking about it. I'm excited thinking about the Olympics. That's goat, but it's
no. It'll be a nice break because it's in February, so essentially it'll replace the All Star break.
They better play hard. Like I just remember the World Cup of hockey was brutal.
I think you got a guy like Connor McDavid who is itching to lead. Like Sid will obviously still be the captain of Team Canada until Connor will assume that role once Sid calls it a career. But Connor is itching to play this.
That guy's a fucking animal.
Yeah, I know.
That guy's literally an animal.
I know. He'll be itching to play this.
That guy is so good.
It's
sickening.
I'm looking forward to it. I think it's great. I think they need to do more of this stuff. I think good for them.
Yeah.
I love it.
All right,
and
we'll
returning to the Olympics.
Yeah, but that was so stupid. What are they doing?
Yeah, I don't know.
Well, I remember the one year the travel was a little tricky with.
Well, and then they were gonna go a couple years ago, and then everybody got COVID. Yeah, so
I'll cut them a break on that one.
So that's a bit unforeseen. All right, buddy. Well, we're back in the saddle now. We're ready for the home stretch. I know that you're really excited to get on here once, twice a week to just continue to talk about the same things over and over again.
Yeah. If they rattle off a couple, the only way they can do anything is if they rattle off a couple dubs. Yeah, but they're not doing that. It's gonna be the same old for the rest of the season.
Well, one of the things that was discussed last night that I thought was really interesting is how brutal they've been at home this year.
Yeah.
They're 11-10-2 at home this year.
Aren't they like 2-6 in their last like 8?
Yeah. Like what? I don't understand that. Like that's not like they've been far better on the road than they've been at home. And I know like Scotiabank Arena isn't exactly a raucous atmosphere, but
it's not a very good home base.
Why do you think that is?
When you go to the game, what do? You sit there.
No. I mean, no, not the fans. Like, why do you think they are 11-10-2 at home?
I don't know. I don't know how to explain that stuff. I don't know. All I know is that building sucks, and it's just I don't know. I really don't. It's too bright in there.
We got
be more dimly lidded.
It is really bright in there. That's why I got my new TV and I'm trying to get the color ratio right.
Yeah, they need more
popping out.
Dimly lit arena.
Yeah.
Old school.
They got the Dallas Stars Wednesday night, good hockey team. They got the Sens Saturday night in Ottawa. I don't care. The Sens.
I don't care. The Sens could be winless, and I would still be. And they would still worry me in a 7-game series.
And then they've got like good teams the rest of the way. Like they got for this month, they got St. Louis. Where are the St. Louis Blues in the standings?
They're not. They're
in a wild card spot. They're in a second wild card spot.
West wild card is just every time I look at it, it's just different.
Yeah,
like I took a shot at the Predators earlier, and like they're just right there. They're tied for a wild card spot.
Then we got the Philadelphia Flyers, Ducks, Blues again, the Golden Knights, oh my god, the Avalanche.
Look at the Hawks, just gonna finish dead last again and just pick up another first overall pick.
Yep, just rebuilding.
Make sure you pick a defenseman.
Yes.
Don't overlook defensemen.
Yes.
Let's put it that way.
They desperately need that.
Yeah.
Okay, we're going to get out of here. We'll be back again probably after the Saturday Senators game. So if you want to catch that, make sure you hit the like and subscribe button below. Thank you very much for checking us out. I just want to take a minute to say tons of really nice comments on the videos lately. I have actually been blown away at how nice the comments have been lately. People being like, love your show, favorite Leafs pod. Thank you. You know, we've been doing this this is season 6, and it's just a thing that we do to spend time together, and we're both diehard fans of the team, and we really committed. It's kind of our baby now, and we really appreciate you guys tuning in and the nice comments. We really, really appreciate it.
Grinding.
Yes. And if you know someone who hasn't watched the Talking Buds Leaf show, you should
spread the word and tell your friends.
Yes, you should. We'll catch you guys next time.